Welcome to the Whiskey Chasers, where we talk about our passion for whiskey and its history, either amongst ourselves or while interviewing distilleries, all while enjoying a glass. I'm Steve.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Chris.
Please enjoy responsibly while enjoying this week's episode of the Whiskey Chasers.
What are we smoking with this guy?
Oh, I think we're going to have, we might have had this last year. It's almost like become like my Halloween blend.
Okay.
There's other things that sometimes I throw in the mix, but I almost always have this on Halloween.
Okay.
I don't think I cannot have this on Halloween. It's Haunted Bookshop.
Yeah, we did have it. Yeah, that's okay though. We'll do it again.
It might be like it every year. It might just become a tradition at this point. I just don't think I can do a Halloween episode without smoking this. And it's what I smoke when we do like trick or treat.
Is there any other company or any other name for a pipe tobacco that is anywhere close to like haunted or like?
Yeah, I mean, they have like Sleepy Hollow is by a company in Kentucky there. And that's really good. It's more aromatic. Autumn Evening, I've talked about. That's a good one. There's other blends out there that are more fall. Sutliff does a blend.
But I guess when we're talking like Halloween, I feel like Haunted Bookshop just fits. Right with it. I don't know why. It just fits the name. Yeah.
And, you know, and it even looks like an old Haunted Bookshop on the tin. But for me, when I hear Haunted Bookshop, I literally think of like an old, because, you know, I'm a big book guy and a big reader, and I love going to used bookstores. Usually a used bookstore, the best ones are like in those underground shops. Like you go to like a downtown and it's like the shop that you go down the old cement steps. Right. It's kind of wet down there. It's dark. It's like old crappy carpet and a ton of bookcases, and they're just old, almost moldy books.
Musty almost.
Yeah, musty, and you're looking through them and you're looking for a deal. To me, that's what I think of when I think of a bookshop. I don't think of like Barnes & Noble. I think of like an old, we rent this space by the month place. Kind of a place. And I just think of like that on like a fall day with the leaves going, kind of dreary, kind of windy, something wicked this way comes, right? And I'm down at a bookshop and it's kind of spooky. Maybe I'm in a back corner somewhere looking for a book and it's kind of creepy. That's what I think of when I think of Haunted Bookshop. And this blend actually fits with that. It's just a no-nonsense, kind of straightforward blend. Still very strong, not for the faint of heart. It's got, you know, a ton of burley. It's got some Perique in it. I think there might be a hint of Virginia. Not much. There's no flavoring to be talked about. It's perfectly, like, not too dry, but it's perfectly ready to smoke, even when you pop the 10. It's one of those blends that people will say it kind of smells cigarette-y a little bit, but it doesn't taste that way at all.
Like the room note is cigarette-y?
Yeah, the room note. But it's because it's just an American burley tobacco, and it's without any flavoring, and it just burns. It's one of the best burning blends out there, and it's just an all-day blend for a lot of people. For me, it could be an all-day blend, but it is a little stout. It can kick you in the butt if you're not careful. It's great. And this one is a special one because this one was from 17.
Sorry, so this is a new 10.
This is an old 10.
We're popping a new 10.
You're popping a new one. You have this
popping a brand new 10. This is something, I smoke quite a bit. And
right.
This is one of the old 10s.
Me.
Yeah. We're going to pop an old one because let's do it. You know what I mean? This one's from 2017, from the beginning of 2017. So it's got some age on it.
Okay.
And it's got some, you see that bold?
So 8 to 9 years. Kind of bold.
So, and yeah, Haunted Bookshop's great. Aged Haunted Bookshop is even better. So.
Oh, nice. There we go. One of my favorite things to do if I need to kill time, if I'm in a new town or something, I need to kill time, that's what I do. Like, I find a bookstore. Usually, if you go to a small town, you can find a bookstore.
You know, we have different ideas of killing time because you go for bookstores, I find the liquor store, and I just walk around.
Yeah, I'm in Ohio. There's my bookstore, that liquor store, this liquor store, they're all the same.
I guess if you're dealing in Ohio, that makes sense.
If I'm in Ohio, then what's a liquor store? It's the same as every other one. So I was in Zanesville. Completely forget why I was there, but I was in Zanesville for something or another, and I needed to kill time. And so I did a quick Google search, found a used bookstore, and I start driving, and I'm in a residential neighborhood. I was like, something's wrong. Like, where is this store? And I get there, and it's just some dude's house. It's like a house.
Oh, nice!
And I get in there, and it's like walking into like an episode of Hoarders. Like it is nothing
stacked
but books,
everywhere,
stacked everywhere, with a tiny little desk right next to the staircase going upstairs, where there is more books, and it's all organized. Every room is like a different genre. It's fantastic. fantastic. It's one of the coolest bookstores I've ever been to.
Have you been to the one in the is it Italian Village?
Yeah, down in German Village. Yeah. German Village. Yeah, the Book Loft.
Yeah, is it anything like that?
It's very similar on a much smaller scale.
Gotcha.
Because it's just some dude's house,
and that feels like someone's house when I go into that one. Yeah. Right?
And similarly in Delaware, if you go up 23, going north from Columbus up to like Marion or whatever, there is an old house on 23 past Delaware that now is, I think it's like an event space or something. But when I moved to Delaware, it was a bookstore. And it's just kind of like a big house. Later on, it became a You Roll It tobacco store.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's on the if you're going south, it's on the right hand side, correct?
Yes. Yeah. And like I never went to it when it was a You Roll It store because I was very confused by that. Because like that's like in a strip mall, not in a nice, cool old house. But so maybe it would have been cool. I don't know.
Probably was sweet. Probably had a lot of stuff in it.
It probably did. Now, like I said, it's like an event space or something. But before it was a used bookstore for a long time. And I loved going in there. They had a chess room on the second floor. You could go up and play chess. And so it was really cool.
Probably held tournaments there.
Probably. But any used bookstores that are in old houses are my favorite because you can find just really cool old stuff. But yeah, I'm always going. There's a particular set of books that I am trying to complete without going to eBay.
Right. It was the different color ones. Yeah.
The ones from Dad's factory. So anytime I find an old bookstore, that's always what I'm after. So I'm always going in there, talking to them, trying to find stuff. Yeah. So one of my favorite things to do going to another town, but they all kind of do smell old, musty, cigarette-y kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm excited for this blend and this bottle.
See, it's funny. Again, you look for bookstores outside of Ohio. Mary likes to say that I'm like a bloodhound for liquor stores somehow. We can drive anywhere and be like, oh, liquor store over there. And she'll be like, how did you know? I don't know. Just knew there's a liquor store over there, Yeah. When the bourbon boom kind of took off outside of Columbus and in different states, these small towns have kind of caught on. If they can get good bourbon, then they'll have people travel to come visit them. You used to be able to find like those old liquor stores, like the old, like in a house. You're talking like it feels like there's dust everywhere. You have that weird smell when you walked in, but you could find Bookers on the shelves for $75 with a lot of dust. Didn't matter. It'd be from like 2017, 2014, just sitting there. It'd be like,
those types of stores only regulars go into. Yeah. And they may or may not be buying that stuff.
And they'd be like, we don't know what this is. No one wanted it. So if you want it, go for it. Those are some of the best ones to find. Those are like, I go to small towns to look for the liquor stores just for that reason. Like, can I get you before your boom? Like, right. Can I find some good stuff?
Before you realize what you have.
Before people realize what you got.
Those are my favorite.
And I didn't think about it when I picked this blend for this bottle, but actually this blend goes with this bottle because we're talking about bookshops and books and Halloween time.
We haven't told what bottle we're doing yet.
Exactly. It's going along with this one, which is the Raven from Journeyman. And it's kind of an Edgar Allan Poe kind of a theme here.
Which is hilarious.
And, books, Haunted Bookshop, Edgar Allan Poe, which I actually have found some of my like favorite Edgar Allan Poe like books in an old bookshop. So it's it kind of goes along with what we're drinking.
Yeah. Now we have had Journeyman on the podcast, not just as a bottle, but as an interview. And when we did the interview, we specifically went after the whole Last Feather Rye and having RR in the back for Ravenswood and why it was crossed out. And we found this bottle when we did the barrel pick for the club. And Chris, do you remember looking at me and even looking at the guy and going, how did you get away calling it the Raven?
Yes, because I love how petty they were about
They're so petty about it. And they call this the Raven. And apparently there's no issue calling this the Raven.
Or there hasn't been yet. Because he was kind of like, that's a good question.
For me, I find it hilarious. I wish that the majority of this is a big blend of different things. There's a reason why they did this. But I wish that there was a I wish within the blend, if they secretly made the majority of it the last feather rye, that would just kind of push the pettiness level a little bit more. And I would be like, yes, I like this a whole lot more.
I think it should also be finished in a red wine blend.
Oh, that would be great.
I think that would be awesome.
If they could finish it in the Ravenwood wine barrels,
I don't
that would
think
be great.
They would do that,
Yeah,
but just a wine.
Yes.
finish.
I think it'd also be cool to finish it in a Montilido cask or whatever, because like Edgar Allan Poe, you know what I mean, like cask of a Montilido.
Yeah, if they were going for the Edgar Allan Poe thing, that would be great. Yeah,
which they weren't exactly, but I asked him and he said it's kind of like that too, but it's mostly for the because if you look at it, it's not just a raven, it's kind of a Poish raven, and he was kind of like, that is kind of like raven tapping on my
And to remind everyone what we're talking about, the whole raven thing. Journeyman started off as Ravenwood, is that right?
Last Feather Rye was the Ravenswood Rye.
It's because of like the street they were on or so. Yeah, but Ravenswood is a fairly popular wine brand.
Apparently, and they got a cease and desist.
They got a cease and desist.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah,
they actually fought it.
They did. They fought it for a while.
It's a Last Feather,
and they unfortunately were not able to bait it, so they had to change their name. But they do keep an R on the back of the bottle.
They keep RR.
RR.
Yep, and it's crossed out. Yep.
As a reminder of where they are, as a token of the past of it. And then when this one came out, this is a combination of a lot of their particular bottles as their 13-year. And this is the 13-year bottle.
Yeah, this is their 13-year anniversary bottle that they came out with.
Yes. Yep. And so it is a combination of, it's a 10% Silver Cross 4 grain, 20% high rye bourbon, 20% last feather rye, and 50%, of course, it's whips and whiskey. All between 4 and 7 years, give or take, between all four of them.
Which is super interesting because as I taste this, I go, oh, this is weeded. This is every bit of nice weeded.
It's very kind of, you can taste that it's blended. Yeah. And it's amazing that they work that well together, those different components.
It does, because it's a couple of ryes. It's a 4 grain, it's their weeded, it's all of it. So, because of course is a weeded.
It's a wheat whiskey, yeah. So we've done, let's see, did Watershed release a bottle for their 10-year anniversary that we had?
I think they did do a 10-year. I don't know if we did it though. But
it wasn't 10 years old, was it? No, yeah. But they released, so I'm thinking of the ones that we've had on like the podcast or we've talked about. They've released like an anniversary bottle. This, they went above and beyond, in my opinion, because they kept everything 13.
They did, yep. The price is related to it. The years are related
even
to it.
Even the like the proof point.
The years that they added up to, is that how they get to 13 or what?
Years added up to not equal 13.
But it was $113 and $13. It was 113 proof. Yep, their anniversary of 13 years. So they tried everything they could to do like 13,
Which
13.
People think is an unlucky number. Which it kind of fits the Halloween.
It fits the Halloween
vibe.
Yeah.
Yep. And the bottle is the coolest bottle I've ever seen.
Dude, it's so like Wild Turkey bottles on steroids. Like the old Wild Turkey like style decanter bottles.
Yep. It's a ceramic bottle. Looks like a raven. The cork is the head.
Which twists off.
Yep, which twists off.
Do you guys remember when you guys bought this? Did she tell you?
Scared the shit out of us thinking we broke it.
Yep. And I remember she twisted off the top for me when she was wrapping it and looked at me and goes, "You have to keep this guy upright in a box." I was like, "Okay, it's corked. Why does that matter?" And she goes, "The cork's not that sealed. Like it's not that good of a cork. Like it's very much like a
it adds to the charm of the bottle."
Yeah. It is very much like an artwork masterpiece. Like this is a top shelfer for people to see and be like, "What is that?"
But it's not just a cool looking bottle because the whiskey,
the juice is good,
really good.
I dare I say this? Since we had the interview with them, this might be the best release and offering that they had that you could get. That wasn't like a barrel pick or wasn't like a single barrel.
As far as their like from their standout like standard offerings.
Granted, this is a blend of their standard offerings, but this is the best of the best that they have to offer.
It is still for sale, as far as I know, as long as they still have it.
Are they still producing it? Or
they're not producing it. It's just if they have it, they made a lot of it, and it's only for sale at the distillery. So at both locations, so they have 2 distilleries now. It's available at both of them
for $113.
For $113.13.
Yep, I love the 1313.
You know what's interesting is. And I didn't think about this when I said it, but on the last episode, I was talking about this time of year is great for whiskeys, like not exactly like ryes or bourbons, and that's what this is. Again, it falls into a whiskey category because it is blended, and it's so well blended with different things that it almost does impart that air quotes flavored type of a feeling. You know what I mean?
What's crazy is, so I had that in mind when I tried it. I also had in mind, this is Halloween. This is when we come over. And we make the cider, right? So we make the hard cider, or
like a homemade hard cider, like a real cider, and it's spiked. And then we do a cocktail stand, and
then we have like offerings for people to drink. And I normally have a thermos or a Yeti with some whiskey in it,
some libations.
Yeah, that's what I drink out of the entire night. And I kept thinking, man, this is perfect. This is perfect for Halloween. Like that night of Halloween, it doesn't lean towards rye. It doesn't lean towards a bourbon. It doesn't lean towards just a wheated whiskey. It's everything combined. It is just a nice blend of, I've got so much happening that I could sip on this and not go through a ton of it, and I would be satisfied.
Well, that's what I like about it is it's air quotes smooth, but it's sweet, it's friendly, but it's got some hard edges that also leave some aggression that's in the towards the back end, almost into the finish.
Yeah, you can definitely. I mean, like this feels more like a rye than even the old Overholt we did last week. This has more of the rye spice going on. And I mean, that's partly because there's 2 ryes in here and a 4-grain. And 4-grains also tend to be kind of on the spicier side. All of those are a little bit spicier, and it's improved up a touch. So it has some punch to it, which is a good thing. I think it's working for what it's supposed to be doing.
You know what disappoints me? Not for the company, nothing to do with Journeyman itself, but a caveat for Journeyman. So the owner loves Buffalo Trace. That's kind of where all this weeded stuff comes from, is his love of Buffalo Trace. Could you imagine if this was Buffalo Trace? Could you imagine if Buffalo Trace decided to do something that was a little bit more oomph and flavor, but still weeded?
That would be cool. But I will say what this has that Buffalo Trace doesn't have, and actually is working towards the flavor, is that small distillery kind of dusty, like heavy corn kind of, the flavors I'm talking about. Yeah. More hand touched, more raw. That's what it is. Raw. Yeah. And you don't get that with Buffalo Trace. Even if they tried to get that flavor, they couldn't get it. And you get that with Journeyman. You're getting it on this bottle, but along with that sweetness, and then along with that, like those aggressive rye spices, it actually kind of reminds me of the way, not the way the actual taste is, but the way green apple stuff is, where it's like sweet, but then also kind of sour. Kind of sweet and kind of punchy at the same time. That's kind of how this is. It's got those some sweet touches, and then it's got some hard edges that kind of punch you a little bit. It's like the sweet sour candy. You know what I mean? And I think that goes along with that kind of Halloween theme, witch's brew type, that caramel green
kind
apple, caramel apple, kind of green apple, kind of a sweet, kind of spicy, kind of sour kind of thing going on. And again, along with those small distillery vibes, which give it those edges too, that you wouldn't get that with Buffalo Trace. And I just don't know if Buffalo Trace could pull something like that off. I just don't think that they can, because they are friendly, but they do have some rye stuff. But I just don't know if you could pull all of those flavors through without having some of those small distillery vibes, You know
what's crazy? Sorry. I just thought of time, right? So Buffalo Trace has been around for a while. Maybe length of time has something to do with that. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just popularity, commercialized. This is 13 years old. They had their 13-year-old, anniversary kind of thing. We are now 5 years old as a podcast at this point.
Oh, we really? Wow.
Yeah,
jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And we did an interview with them 2 years in. So 3 years ago? So they were 10 when we did an interview with them. What's crazy to me is their milestone at that point, and they even said was not good, was nothing that they did. The Eve's Blind. Do you guys remember the Eve's Blind for that interview? That was kind of their like on the map milestone.
Because they partnered with
no
her,
one
which
really
was
liked
a
it.
big deal. And nobody, it didn't go off the way they thought it would.
But 3 years from that, they put out this.
Which is all their own stuff. They
pretty much did an Eve's Blind.
Yeah.
Like, which is, it's insane to think about. Like,
right. Well, and I think it's also a big credit to them that they were able to, like I said, they were able to take what they have and blend it in a way that was good. It's kind of like taking leftovers out of the fridge, putting them all together. That doesn't always come out. You know
which is crazy to me to think about. Like, okay, the owner wanted to model after Buffalo Trace, a huge, popular, commercialized company. 13 years down the road from him starting this idea, he comes up with this, that even the thing that he idolized, that he was like, put it on a pedestal, this is what I want. They could not even create this. That's crazy.
They become something other than what he set out to become.
Right. And I don't know that people, even let alone him, realize that. Like, that's huge. You've become something more. You become something more than Buffalo Trace. Something more than a commercialized popular brand. And that can't be sold in a lot of states. They've struggled to get into Ohio. Yeah. I still can't figure that one out.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird.
It's Ohio.
It's Ohio, but
Ohio's weird.
How well would this do in Ohio, man?
I think Journeyman in general would do well in Ohio, but I do think the problem with Ohio is there's a lot of people here that are only going after kind of the name brand kind of things. And I think that they've done, and you can see it with the lottery and everything else that they do in Ohio. There's a lot of people that are they were the bourbon boom kind of people. You know what I mean? You know, not so much drinkers as collectors kind of a thing. And I think that makes us struggle a little bit with, and that's why they've come in and regulated it so much, because people were just going nutso for that stuff. And I think if there was more actual, like, connoisseur, or like people that appreciated whiskey.
Craft stuff struggles in Ohio.
Exactly. Do you think it needs to? Do you think people would enjoy it if they could try it?
If they could try it, yes, they would enjoy it. I don't know that they would buy it though. And so like they may, I mean, I don't know that they would try it. I don't know that they would buy the first bottle.
If they wouldn't make the investment. Yeah.
I've had this idea for a while that I would love the podcast to work with the state, if possible, to put on this whiskey expo and have all craft distilleries wanting to get into Ohio to come in. Sure, it's a price tag, right? There's a ticket to get in, but you got to try anything and everything under the sun they have to offer.
But how does that work with the regulations?
We would have to work closely with the state to figure that one out.
Because if they can't technically sell it, and you're technically selling a ticket, and then they get to try things.
The expo would be put on by the state
and by the distilleries. Yeah. So there'd be no price tag for the bottles, just a price tag to get in, and the samples are
technically you're not paying for the. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so maybe that would be a way to work around it.
But the idea being like, can we show the state that there's buy-in for this? If people try it and they go, "Holy crap, this is wonderful! I'll pay $113 for this." Right. Like, no, I would pay $150 for this. Like, why not? Like, this is wonderful.
Yeah, I think if the state said, "Hey, we're going to do a whiskey expo of only bottles or only companies that are not available in the state of Ohio. These are companies that want to sell in Ohio, but are not currently selling in Ohio."
That is an interesting idea.
That's what I want. It's a trial and error.
And you can't buy a bottle while you're there because the state, it's not available in Ohio. You can try it though. And your price of admission is high. It's going to be expensive to get in, $150, $200, whatever. And with that, you have to tell us what you would think. Yes. I want to know what's the best bottle you tried while you're here. And that way, that's for the state to decide. Yep. And you're essentially crowdsourcing palate. You're trying to say what would actually do well in Ohio. It takes pressure off of the state,
because instead of them having to like, we'll not do this, not do that.
What the state would do if that actually happened, how the state would do this is they would do that and the winner would get an OHLQ exclusive.
Yeah,
and it still wouldn't be available in Ohio because other than through that exclusive.
The way that Ohio does it is they bring in, however they decide, I don't know, but they bring in certain things and then they give it a year or two trial, and then they only go after like the way that it's sold. And if it didn't sell, then they put it on the last call and that's it. And phases it out. That's how they do it now.
That's what we found out with Jep the Creed. Yeah.
And I mean, it's the reason that when I do samplings for Watershed, even though Watershed is an Ohio brand, I'm buying a bottle every time I do a sampling there. I mean, Watershed is, but like a bottle is being purchased every single time. I'm not bringing a bottle in and like resampling it every time I do it or whatever. It's a new bottle every single time. And the reason for that is it's a sale in the books. I mean, that's a big part of it. And a lot of times what I'm sampling is dependent on that. Like Watershed tells me what to sample based on a lot of that. And we'll alter some, every once in a while I'm buying like liters for these sales and stuff when it's like, I'm not using a liter.
Right. It's not going to happen. Yeah.
It's kind of silly, but we're doing it because it makes sense on the back end.
But to bring it back to Halloween, sorry, that was a little tangent.
Yeah. OHLQ, if you're listening,
reach out to us. Please reach out to us.
They're for sure listening.
We have the details. We have all the details. We'll do it.
We have a plan.
Yeah. But the Raven, why does it fit so perfectly for Halloween?
For me, it's Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, that doesn't get it. I think just ravens in general are always kind of ominous, kind of creepy, kind of omens, kind of. You talk about Odin, right? You know about Odin's ravens?
Oh, like Odin the
Odin
god?
The god. Yeah.
I don't know about Odin's ravens.
So what's interesting about Odin is it's not just like when people hear Odin, they think of Thor and all that crap. So Odin actually was an older god than all that stuff. Like, he had different names.
Thor's dad, right?
Basically. Yeah. But Odin's actual, like, he was the All-Father, okay? So in a lot of, like, way back in the day, in a lot of other cultures and stuff, Odin is considered Zeus level god, the god, All-Father, the god of gods, the head of gods, right? So, like, you have, like, all the different gods, but Odin's always depicted as the god. And also that there's different things that he did. Basically, he killed him. He sacrificed himself to become himself, right? So like, he's like a god of himself even. But anyway, going back to the ravens, he had two ravens on his shoulders, and one is truth and one is memory, I believe. And I think truth gets sacrificed at some point, but memory. So the raven of memory sees all and remembers all, basically. But you see these ravens depicted in different things. They're always kind of creepy, kind of ominous, kind of like good but bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not always all good, but they're not all bad either. And I think that ravens are depicted throughout history in those types of lights. Kind of like, ominous, creepy kind of thing. And I think that's Edgar Allan Poe kind of uses the raven as well as that same kind of vein of kind of like memory, right? Like there's something, you look at a bald eagle, you think there's something regal about it, right? When you look at a raven, you think there's something kind of other about it. Yeah. It's not just a bird, right? It's almost like they can see through you, right? And clearly that's been the case for a long time because they've been depicted throughout the ages as these other things, right? And I think when Edgar Allan Poe talks about, if you've ever read The Raven, it's more than just a raven tapping on the door, on the window, or the door or whatever. It's more like fate or something is tapping Edgar, right? And saying this or saying that or whispering to him, or is it death? Death is depicted with ravens as well. There's all sorts of things about these things, and I think so. Anytime you see a raven in the wild, it brings you back to this spooky Halloween fall kind of a vibe. I've never seen a raven and not been like, ooh. I mean, crows are kind of like that, but crows are like a country version of raven. They're less, but they're just not like an average bird. That's what it comes down to. There's something other about them, right? And I remember like seeing them as a kid growing up. It's like almost like seeing a black cat, in Halloween time. You see a black cat, you're like, ooh, spooky, right? You know what I mean? Raven, same thing. I think so. And I think that that's kind of what Edgar Allan Poe was kind of pulling when he's talking about the Raven. And it's just, this bottle really represents that. The way it looks, the way it's kind of standing there, you can cock its head the one way. It's all black and gold kind of lettering. It's not just like The Last Feather Rye. You know what I mean? It's something other, which again is what a raven is. It's something more than a bird.
And Edgar Allan Poe is kind of known for his kind of mystery detective-like work.
Gothic. He's the one that invented detective stories.
Yes. But it also led into a lot of sci-fi. And it's because of the mystery behind it. And he was so good at that mystery type writing in real life kind of stuff, but it led a lot of people to sci-fi. It because of how almost otherworldly it was, which is kind of Halloween-y. That transition from real life to sci-fi is pretty scary usually. And so it's a lot of horror kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and sci-fi actually is along the same lines. If you ask people, like, it's been in list, but like some of the best scary movies, horror movies, whatever you want to call them, Predator's on that list sometimes. So is Alien. Alien is very much on that list. Yeah. That is more sci-fi than it is horror. However, people find that like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like a scary kind of a movie. You know what I mean? You see, Jason walking out, with the hockey mask and stuff. And if you were to see some raven, kind of come up behind him, you'd think that that's part of it. You know what I mean? It just fits that theme. And it's almost kind of to the point where, have you ever even thought about or seen a raven other than that time of year? I haven't. I can't think of one. I've seen crows and stuff.
You don't see them. Yeah, you don't see them outside of Halloween time or the fall. If it's not during that time, I mean, you don't really even see crows outside of that time too much. It's
blackbirds, but not
right,
crows.
Yeah, they're either just blackbirds or gatchels or whatever. Yeah.
Crows can be kind of ominous as well.
They can be, yeah. But raven's kind of the next level of it.
It doesn't have the yellow beak. You know what I mean? Like a raven is like an all black bird. And again, there's something to do with its eyes. It's the same way that a bald eagle just looks at you like he's royalty. The raven looks at you like he knows more than he's letting on.
Almost godly.
Yeah, almost, or a servant of a god, a servant of a god. Which is with Odin, that's what it was all about. You know what I mean? And that's part of it. If I remember the lore correctly, so Odin gives up his eye, which was truth, I believe. So he loses his eye, which is truth, and that's why he wears the patch and whatever. But he keeps his eye, which is memory, I believe, something like that. So basically he can see through the raven of memory. I can't remember. There's something happens and he has to sacrifice that. It's not when he sacrificed himself, but he sacrifices his eye or he loses his eye. I can't quite remember what it is, but Odin's very, I mean, Greek mythology in general, but Odin is very interesting because I always like, with this new superhero stuff, these movies and stuff, you see Odin and whatnot. And it's kind of like whatever. But then when you actually do some research on Odin and the old gods, it's very much different from what you see in like the Disney superhero kind of crap. You know what I mean? Like
it's much darker,
way more dark, way more different stories, way more metaphorical. And when you read, and some of it doesn't make sense. It only makes sense in a metaphorical sense. Like it's not realistic what they're explaining happened, but it makes sense in kind of a metaphorical way or an allegorical kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have religious text, whether it's Greek gods, Indian god, any of the sets of, especially multiple gods, especially not the mono gods, but the other world religions that have multiple gods, they tend to be incredibly like that. Like there's a lot of metaphor involved because every god has its own place. It's it's its own section of theology, whatever it may be. And so, yeah, especially those ones that, and with that comes a lot of ways to relate it to life and like the ways to connect it to different parts of and different things, because you have a god of soil, a god of good farming. So if you have a good year, you can say that we did good this year. Right. We were good people to this God.
And a lot of them thought
the reverse.
You know, what harm could it do? And you have to remember that we're talking about, I think Christians especially have this way of forgetting that we're talking about gods that were venerated or whatever before Jesus' time. I mean, if you think like Moses, the time of Moses, which is, if you do your research, is a long time before Jesus came to the world. There's gods that they talk about then and there, and they venerated these gods. And you're talking about people who didn't know Yahweh. They didn't know God like the way we know God, the God of Moses, right? There was the God of Moses. And then these other people were like, but there's the God of this and the God of that and the God of, and Moses is like, no, there's only the one. And they're like, what are you talking about? Right. For hundreds of years, we've been talking about these gods. Now you're saying there's one. And we forget that was a whole different concept for people.
The Jewish God is one of the first gods of a monotheism.
Monotheistic,
where there is just one God versus multiple.
And people struggled with that even way before what we're talking about, even before Odin was even like kind of invented. And Odin was even, like I said, around way long time ago. Like they might even have been talking about Odin when Jesus was walking the earth. You know what I mean? That's how long ago we're talking. So it's just interesting when you talk about that old religion that people kind of forget that has been around for that long, and then the different stories and stuff that have been brought through, like what you're talking about. Yeah. But not that, I believe in any of that, but it's just, it's interesting history. Yeah, it's fascinating. And like you said, it was real world applications that these gods slowly, through hundreds and thousands of years came about,
Have we ever talked about on the podcast how Halloween came about? So listening to you guys talk about this, have we ever talked about that?
We touched on some of the pagan religions and stuff last year on how Halloween came to be a little bit. But if you know more about it, please.
I don't know that I do. I'm just curious. Yeah.
There's lots about it.
There's lots with the different pagan religions and where the different sections come to be. Most religions have much more of a death story, or like a lot to do with when you die, where you go, but also if you don't behave here, bad things are going to happen. So you have a lot of ghost stories and things, and
spirits walking the earth.
Yeah, spirits. You're not going to hell. You're walking the earth and staying here as like a goblin or a ghoul of some sort. And so that those stories kind of add together.
When you said death stories,
yeah.
Are you guys fans of Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I have only seen a few episodes of it. I do like it though. Yeah.
There's a moment where Charlie gets to meet his real dad in Ireland, and his dad takes him to see the graves of his ancestors, and it's all the women. And he goes, well, what happened to the men? We throw them off cliffs. Okay, so yeah, when they die, we throw them off cliffs. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, well, why? What about the women? We don't throw them off. Nope, those are witches. All women are witches.
All women are
witches. We throw the men off cliffs. Yeah. That's why they're buried, and men go into the water.
I really like History of the World Part 1. I think
I love that movie.
So Mel Brooks. No, wait, I'm confusing things. I'm thinking of Monty Python. Oh. And they come out and they're trying to decide if this lady's a witch or not. And they come up with some way of like, if she, And so if she is a witch, then she'll float. If she's not, then she'll die. Yeah.
So if she's not, then she'll die. Yeah. So either way, like they're rid of her.
Yeah, they're rid of her either way. Either we're gonna burn her at stake because she's a witch and she lived, or we just killed her.
I love Monty Python. Dude.
Yeah, and like those are kind of like the things that.
Which one is that? It's not Holy Grail.
I think it's Life of Brian.
Life of Brian.
I think it's Life of Brian. Yeah,
which is just ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
And it's so sacrilegious, but still funny, still
funny.
Great.
Yeah, but yeah, and even just looking back at U.S. history, looking back at Salem and our witch trials and stuff, we did a lot of that kind of stuff in terms of like proving whether or not you're a witch. And if you fail those tests, you're just gonna die. Like, so we're either gonna kill you now by thinking you're a witch, or kill you after we prove that you are a witch. Either way, you're dead.
We've always, I mean, we brought up hysteria. We made that a thing. Yeah. We've always been kind of, we've had our issues with things in the past, especially when
there's a chance that sexism is real.
that it's a real thing. That's a real thing.
But yeah, and when it comes to Halloween, there is a lot of that, like witches and witchers more than wizards. Wizards hold a different place.
I never think of wizards and Halloween.
Exactly,
I think of wizards and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But I think of witches. I think of like Halloween
Wizards are gonna
and evil.
save us.
I never think of a good witch.
Yeah.
But I think of good wizards.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Right, because sexism.
She's got it solved.
It really is real. It's deep. It's a deep
deep-seated thing.
Yeah.
But if it's that deep-seated, could it be that it's more than,
Well,
makes you wonder.
I don't know. They're apparently evil.
That's it. We'll just write it off. Our forefathers were correct.
Obviously.
We don't even need to think anything more about it.
So somehow, with all this, there's tradition within Halloween. Tradition of being sexist, I guess. Tradition of getting candy.
It's tradition of being scared of death.
That's
That's
really
really
what it is?
Yeah.
I guess I never thought of it
thinking
that way.
about the other,
Yeah. Whatever death is
the
going to equal.
unexplainable things, which there are plenty in the world.
Yeah.
And I think Halloween is a time that those things are kind of brought more to the forefront of your mind. And that's why people see more things that in that season. There are a lot of unexplainable things. I'm sure you can bring up personal story. I can bring up personal stories. A lot of people can't. There's things that happen, and the longer you live, you will see things that don't make sense, that you can't explain. I could tell you stories that people will be like, well, that's not real. You know what I mean? I'll be like, well, that happened to me, and I don't know how to explain that. It's not normal, or it's supernatural. You know what I mean? And I think that we live in a supernatural world.
Yeah.
And I think that it's that time of year that those things are brought to the forefront, and maybe you notice them more than you do other times of the year.
Real quick on that, because you just said that we live in a supernatural world, which means you believe that we live in a supernatural world. You're also a Christian and a fairly devout one. So how does that square?
Oh, easily.
Are ghosts real?
Well, here's the thing.
Or is this or is ghosts different than supernatural?
I think there's spirits, and there's in the Bible they talk about spirits. They're in the Bible they talk. There's people that have died, or not died. There's people that have never died. There's people that have left this world that haven't died. And that's in the Bible, and those people will come back at some point. I mean, tell me what those are. Those are not spirits. Those are not dead people. Those are not living people. I don't know what they are. There's something other. They were taken up.
Real quick, there's people that have left the world.
Well, Elijah,
that are not dead.
Elijah and Enoch. You know what I'm talking about, Nick?
Yeah.
They never died. There's two specific people in the world that
what does
God
never
took them up.
died mean?
There's no recording of them dying,
not
but
only
being
that,
taken away.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no body.
Elisha, maybe.
Elisha,
I think he was the one that went up in the chariot.
Yes.
And so him specifically, he was out like hanging out with people, and God said, you're coming home. So God sends down this chariot of fire and angels and stuff, and he gets on board. Flesh and blood gets on board and goes up to heaven.
Okay, got it. So
that dude did not die.
There's story. So the story is
his physical body left this earth.
Okay, so the story is some other person saw this.
A lot of people.
Okay, a lot of people saw this. Okay, got it. Okay.
And he wasn't the only one there. Enoch was as well. I think it's Enoch, right? I think it's Enoch. But basically, with that, it brings up a lot of questions. Those specific people, that the fact that we have a physical body that now transcends time and space, right? That's kind of an interesting thing. Okay. You tell me that's not supernatural. I don't know what it is. They talk about demons. Jesus many times talks about demons and things and spirits and things not of this earth. Angels fell to the earth, or they became demons. Those things went somewhere.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily ghosts. It's more so angels.
It depends on the. I'll preface this with it depends on the denomination for ghosts. Yeah. So there.
When I say spirits, I'm not talking about actual human beings.
Right. There's quite a few
souls, but that doesn't mean that that's not the case. We don't know what the demons can and can't do. And those were just former angels. When we think of demons, we think like the worst of the worst, and maybe they are. But you got to remember, at one point, they were literal angels created by God that were up in heaven, like the highest, higher than human beings. You know what I mean? But without a soul and everything, they were different. They were other, and the only thing that really made them bad was that they turned away from God, which is funny because we look at demons and we are like, ugh, right? Because they are. But what do we do as human beings? we do worse things even than what those demons did, really. And we turn away from God all the time. You know what I mean? So it's interesting, not to get too spiritual. We're getting awful, biblical. But I just think it's interesting that even people that are non-Christians will think of demons and think of like, and they are. I mean, but what do we do as human beings? Right? And these things were actually created with the sole purpose of serving God and doing all these things. And I mean, they are like angels, right? You think of an angel, you think, well, these people are, these things are,
It is interesting.
It's an interesting kind of a concept,
a weird place for me because, like, as a Christian, I understand why ghost, like the idea that we have in our head of a ghost, may not make a lot of sense, other than maybe like a purgatory sort of situation.
Again, that's the denomination. Like,
exactly.
It doesn't fit.
That may or may not be right for you.
But to go into that is before Jesus came to earth and died and opened up the gates of heaven, basically, everybody that did die, where did they go? They went into Abraham's bosom, which was a place not
like
hell,
a purgatory
not heaven,
sort of situation.
Sort of situation. So to say that there's not souls, spirits, people, whatever you want to call them, in another place at one time in the world, there were absolutely were. Yeah. And then Lazarus, I mean, just with Jesus's words, came back from wherever he was at, because Jesus hadn't died yet, so he wasn't in heaven either. Lazarus was not in heaven. People are always like, he was in heaven. Nobody was in heaven until Jesus did that. Okay. So wherever Lazarus was, he comes back to life like that, right? And I'm not saying that people, when they die, don't walk around, or they do walk around. What I'm saying is there are souls, there are spirits, and even Jesus, when he came back to earth, he was no longer conformed to a physical body. Right. It even mentions how he disappears here and he shows up there. Right. So he is no longer, he's transcended a physical body. However, still has a physical body because Thomas touches his hands in the holes and everything else. Yeah. So physical transcends physical into spiritual. Spirit, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's an interesting concept. Have I seen things where there's been like legitimate, what I would consider, what you're talking about, ghosts? Yeah. And I could tell you stories that legit, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about like people like I knew. So like there's some things, I can't explain it. Right. We'll never be able to explain it. That doesn't mean I believe that there's people like walking the earth, spirit, like in spirit form. Maybe does it take a little bit to get where you're supposed to go? I don't know. I don't know what that's about.
Okay, so it could be a waiting period of some sort or whatever.
I don't know all the answers are, but I can tell you that, and I'm not the only one that would be able to tell you that there are unexplainable things that happen in this world that are spiritual. And again, we don't talk about these things unless it's Halloween, right? We're talking about it now because we're sitting over this bottle and we're bringing this stuff up. We don't talk about it in May or July, for whatever reason, we bring it up. Easter on occasion, but we bring it up around the fall Halloween time.
It is this time of year, and it's, again, I equate it to a lot to death.
Yeah, I think what Nick was saying too. It's that time for centuries and stuff. People have been kind of thinking about that this time of year.
It is, and it's because the world is dying. Whatever it is. It's like all the crops and everything are dying. That's a good point. This is the time of death. This is when all the leaves are falling,
the harvest
all the crops
is over.
are dying. So all the greenery is gone, and so it is like a time of
mourning,
it's that year's death. You're right.
And then spring is the time of life, and that's when everything is coming back, and that's when you start thinking about those things.
I never equated it to that.
It should be the new year, is spring.
Well, listen, you're absolutely correct.
You know what? And Steve, we're on the same boat, and it's all messed up.
The calendar got changed a few times.
The Gregorian calendar.
March should be the start of the year,
which is when Jesus died and came back to life. There's a whole thing about there used to be 13 months in the calendar. We're all messed up.
The calendar's cool.
It's not actually 2025.
Well, that's why December, Dessa 10, but it's the 12th month. September. Sept is what is that, 6? I think. So like the dates don't line up anymore. We added a few extra for July for Julius Caesar.
Go back into how crazy real quick. Yeah. All this talk about old gods and all this stuff, and then we're like, we don't follow that. Wednesday is named after Odin. That's the All-Father we just talked about. So like, and Wednesday's been around for a long, long time. Yeah. Wednesday is the All Father. So we literally, every time we talk about Wednesday, we're kind of venerating Odin, which is a pagan god. Yeah. There's so much that goes into like what we do that if you're like a Christian and you knew about it, you wouldn't even celebrate Christmas.
A lot of our dates and things are around Roman. And so Romans were the ones that created a lot of that, which there's a lot of Roman gods. And so it makes sense that it all goes that
there's
way.
months named after men that were kings, Caesars. You know what I mean? Like it's
all makes
ridiculous. It's all crazy. It's all nuts.
And so, but like for me, I'm an atheist. So like God, like spirits and stuff, for me, it's a very simple yes and no. Whereas for Christians or any other form of whatever religion it may be, there's a lot of weird gray area to like try to decide what is a god, angel, demon, and what is a ghost, and where does that place itself is fascinating to me. Yeah. And so hearing you guys talk about the two people from the Bible, they're like, oh, well, this is a good way of incorporating this and making this work and being able to say that you can have a ghost-like encounter, but have it fit into your religious paradigm is interesting. It's like a fascinating way of working it all in that makes a lot of sense. Like it's very logical and it works.
Well, I think which is
cool. Yeah.
Something important to bring up, because I think a lot of times people get so protective of their religion that they will either try to make something fit.
They can't have holes.
Or they will dismiss it outright. And the problem with that is there are things, and I don't care what religion you are, but there are things that that no religion can explain fully. If we knew everything, we wouldn't need religion, and you wouldn't need things like faith, which is like really the main focus on any religion.
Yeah, and to say that everything can fit into the Bible is ridiculous. Like there's going to be things that are outside of that, because there's things that we don't know. If we did know it, we would be God. So there has to be
right, and that's why I've always said atheists are people that maybe haven't quite figured out what they believe yet. What I don't understand, and I don't think anybody truly is, agnostic, because you cannot tell me when you've lived 30, 40, 50 years that there's nothing.
Well, that's agnostic. You're confusing the two. Atheist means I believe there is nothing. Agnostic means that you're not sure.
Oh,
you don't know.
Maybe that's
So you're reversing.
I think we talked about this on the podcast, but I always get it mixed up. Yeah. But I think when you get to a certain point, that any human being, regardless of religion, gets to a point where they say, there's something more and I can't explain it. Because I've seen things, right? I've been around 40, 50 years, whatever. You get to a point where I have seen things that I cannot explain, but those things, even if it's 1%, make me believe there's something more than just we were cells and we die and there's nothing. Yeah. And when you get to that point, it opens up a tremendous amount of space for something.
Yeah, lots of options.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get when people say I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I don't, it's hard for me to understand anybody that's lived on this earth more than 20 years, right? To say there's nothing. Right. Right. So that's always for me, and again, not pushing a religion on anybody, but that's enough for me to be like, well, I think we should talk about something, right? Because there's something. And, I don't think I have all the answers, and I don't think the Bible has all the answers for everybody, but I do think that that's what's cool about having, friends and stuff you can talk to, or just groups like this or podcasts or something to bring out, like throw it on the wall and see what sticks, because there's something, and like that's what I always come back to that when people are like, I don't try to make it fit. There's definitely things in that, going back to this spiritual thing, with Halloween this time of year, there's things that I cannot explain. There's things that I've looked into the Bible for answers and I cannot explain. But I do like that the Bible does have things in there that kind of make you scratch your head and go, well, hold on. That kind of challenges what I'm thinking a little bit too. And that they were dealing with that way back in the day. You talk about witches. There's scripture in the Bible that say, do not hang out with witches. Not that don't hang out with people that think they're witches, but like don't hang out with witches. It means witches are very much, according to the Bible, a real thing. And I think that that's interesting because that challenges a lot of people's viewpoints. So
that's the beauty of this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it makes you think about a lot of these spiritual things.
Yeah.
Whether you look at it from a spiritual lens or from just like a supernatural lens.
Supernatural, yeah. Which I think is very similar.
Whatever you want to call it.
Very close to the two.
Very much, yeah. It's also the beauty of whiskey and pipes. And then this is if you're sitting on a porch and smoking a pipe or drinking a glass with some people around you, for one, you're outside, which means there is no TV. There's nothing to like.
This is your entertainment.
Yeah. And so it's just sitting around and talking. And so you can get into like these cool philosophical kind of conversations and stuff that make it really interesting. And this time of year is just built for that. The weather is right for it. Yep. The feel in the air around Halloween and thinking about those things. It's the right time of year for it. And this pipe tobacco is a great one for it. It fits really well in terms of Nick being the one not smoking. Do you get the cigarette kind of thing in the air or not so much?
So I love this haunted bookshop because it's fall. I mean, this is Halloween at its finest for me. This is leaves burning in the air kind of feel. More than anything else that we've had, this is like
scarecrows in the field.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And growing up in the like, country, this is bringing back like home.
Good, yeah.
Oh yeah. So we went to visit my parents weeks ago, but we sat on the porch, my parents and I, and it was very much like fresh cut hay, nighttime. Like it was just, the smell was a mixture of bonfires, burning leaves from the last year, and hay. And it was this, it was country. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how else to describe it for someone that's not from the country, but it was very, very country-esque. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like welcoming, very homey.
And a point about this bottle that goes along with this is because it's a blend of like the 4 different kinds, it is kind of like you're trying to figure out which one it is that you're tasting all the time.
Right. It's kind of rotating.
Yeah, it kind of rotates around a little bit. And so it does kind of gets you into that philosophical kind of mood a little bit, because you are trying to like, oh, is that Silver Cross or is that Corsets? What am I tasting right now at this point?
It cultivates conversation.
It does.
It's like bobbing for apples a little bit.
What's interesting is there's only been maybe one other episode, and you were on it, Steve. You were not on it. Chris was. Okay. It was a little book, and Cody was on it, and he said the same thing, where it's so well blended together that you still find yourself going, here's the next one. Okay, here's the next one. Here's the next. Like there's no like jutting between the two. It blends so well that you're like, oh, am I here? Oh, am I here?
Well, that's what's so cool about it, because, and I can think of, and this might be the only time, there might be other times, but it's like what you said, Steve, it cultivates that conversation. Because like I can't think of many, and we do this a lot, where we either do the podcast, we're always talking, right? The three of us, or even off podcast, we talk. But there's not been many times on the podcast where you're almost like, the hell with this, let's keep talking. You know what I mean? And like we had a conversation a minute ago, we almost had to stop ourselves because we're like, we can't, just keep, going on and on. But that like, and that's what's so cool about it. Like and I think it is, because we do this all the time. Like, what's the difference, right? I think it is this whiskey that is kind of, it just like leads you to the next topic and the next topic.
And huge kudos to Journeyman to be able to do that, because blending is a very different skill than distilling.
In at 13 years.
And so like, and so like this is, I don't know, I'm not entirely sure who at Journeyman was responsible for this. I don't know if their master distiller was the one that blended this or if somebody else did. But do you know?
Because they have a blender and a distiller, don't they?
Sorry, I don't think of that. I think they're about the same age as Watershed. But could Watershed do this?
Well, could many companies, because they're showcasing all their different kind of things, but they blended it in a way that's just, it's not they didn't just throw it all in there. It's blended the right way, the right compounds, the right amounts, that is done where it flows really well. Yeah.
So
not easy to do.
So you talk about like, do they have a master blender, a master this? I don't think of that. I think of someone around their age, 13 years. What distillery could do this at 13 years old?
Well, how well do they know their product?
Right.
Yeah.
Like
I keep thinking about that.
Like, holy cow.
I mean, because on your point on that, I mean, if you think about Scotch, which are kind of the master blenders, those people spend their whole lives trying to figure out how to blend it from their dads,
who learned it from their grandpas, who learned it from their grandpas.
And this is
handed down.
It's an American company, and Americans don't really do the blending thing. So this isn't like a skill handed down or even something they learned from Cobalt or whatever else when they were getting their start.
That's kind of an interesting topic.
Yeah.
American blended whiskey.
Yeah. It's not
like blending bourbons together the way that they blend scotches together. That's kind of different.
This is blending
idea.
whiskey. This is not blending just bourbon. This is blending everything.
It's blending rye, a 4-grain, a bourbon. It's blending all of it.
But they're made in America, so they're but that's an interesting concept.
Yeah,
that I don't think many people have really ventured into. I mean, some things are blended, but
there is not very many.
An interesting idea to blend different
blending pros in the U.S. Like there's a few out there. There's a few brands out there. There's one called Broken Pages that does some blending of different companies and stuff. Lost Lantern
that would be interesting to blend different companies.
Yeah,
like a maker's mark with something different, completely different from each other.
I have there's part 1 and 2 of that Broken Pages that I have at home, and it's Watershed's in one of them. Watershed, Cobalt. I think Journeyman is in one of the two. I'm not positive on that, but I know Watershed and Cobalt both are, and there's a few other ones, but they're blending other different brands together.
That's
and
an interesting
doing a
concept.
Thing. And they're pretty good. Yeah. They're pretty good.
Like an intentional infinity bottle. Kind of
exactly. Yeah. But in terms of blending skill, I think this is better than those two, and both of those.
This is Little Book skill level, in my opinion,
of blending.
Yes, of blending.
Yeah. And so the fact that there's somebody there that was able to do this bottle makes me really hope that they maybe do some sort of a blending type bottle in the future.
Like they should continue this with one iteration.
They're very good at blending. Whoever it is that was responsible for this.
Whether they keep it with the last feather and just scratch the 13 and just say this is what it is.
Right.
It's a blend of our best things or whatever it is. But they do need to have a bottle available of a blend of their things. I think that's a great idea. I think more companies should really think about doing that.
But again, it's
whether
a
they
hard
could
skill.
pull it off. They might not be able to pull it off.
They're right. So I'm impressed that this bottle is as good as it is, because I'll be real honest, and I think we were all kind of in the same boat when we bought this. We bought it for the look of the bottle. Like, this is a cool looking bottle.
And we wanted to support Journeyman.
And we like Journeyman. We wanted to support them. But I had fairly low hopes for the juice inside of it, because it is a blend like that. And that's just not really an American thing.
Especially for a craft distillery, that's not very
It's
common.
A pretty unique idea, but they really did incredibly well with it.
I think if you strip away the marketing and you strip away the 13 and all that, if you were to strip all that away and you say this is an $80 bottle of their blended stuff, I think that's 100% a great bottle. Which means you're paying a little bit for the marketing, but you're also paying for the support of, like, you're kind of supporting Journeyman. So I'm fine with that upcharge a little
tax,
bit.
The support tax. Yeah.
But I think that if they had this, if in a regular bottle for $80, we'd be singing its praises for sure, even just as much as we are with this.
I would agree. This is great for Halloween. This is great for a lot of things.
It really is.
It's been one of my favorite episodes we've done in a while.
Yeah, this is a very good one. Yeah. So happy Halloween, all.
Yeah, yes. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Enjoy all the whiskey and pipes.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want more great content and other perks, be sure to support the show by clicking the link in the show notes. We can be reached on our website, whiskeychaserspod.com, with any ideas for the show. Thanks again.